Wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's a great day out there. If you like this kind of weather, it's a great day for everybody every day in Lakeside. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. I'd like to open the meeting, first call the meeting to order, and then open the meeting with the prayer as usual, given by Larry. There you are, Larry Kisabeth.
I was hiding on you.
You were.
Good morning. Let us pray. On July 4th, we marked Continental Congress's adoption of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, and this year we gave thanks for that historic 250th anniversary with a joyful Americana parade and spectacular fireworks. Then on Sunday, we witnessed another kind of fireworks, Mother Nature's, with monsoon-like downpours that dampened the high spirits of the 4th. Yet, Lord, we know that you do not give us more than we can bear. We have been stretched, and our challenge now is to remain faithful as we face what lies ahead. We thank the many staff members who have gone above and beyond in recent weeks to prepare for our celebrations, and especially for their service during the critical emergency moments we faced this past week. The true spirit of Lakeside was evident on Lynn Avenue this past week as neighbors helped neighbors during power outages. May that same spirit of Lakeside continue to shine as we move beyond the recent weather-related challenges and look ahead to the rest of the 153rd Chautauqua season together. Continue to reveal your will in every part of our life and ministry here in Lakeside and beyond. Enlighten us so we may understand how you want us to meet the tasks before us, both those tasks that we know and those yet unseen. As flowers bloom throughout the parks and yards, empower us to bloom, to grow, and to serve. Nourish us through the 4 pillars of the Chautauqua movement we experience within these gates. Help us carry that inspiration beyond Lakeside and into the world we share with others. We seek your glory and blessing in all we do. Guide our thoughts, our words, decisions, and actions along the right path. And help us remain faithful. May your will be done as we listen, learn, plan, and decide. We ask all this in your holy name. And the people say, Amen.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for your continued service to our opening prayer. I'd like to welcome special guests to our audience this morning. Are there any new property owners? Who, if you are, would you please stand? And someone will come around with a microphone to introduce you. Okay. I'd also like to welcome the members of the Lakeside Association Board. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for your service to Lakeside and the important mission of the Association Board. Today we've got a really big meeting. I wish I could say that like Ed Sullivan used to say it. Didn't he call it a really big shoe? Well, I have big feet, so I do have big shoes, but we do have a really big agenda today, so we're going to get right to it. A couple of programmatic changes. We're going to take Q&A at the time that each agenda item is presented so that you can ask your questions in real time rather than waiting till the end of the meeting. So as the meeting progresses and the agenda topics unfold, please wait for the presentation to be completed and then ask the questions about that agenda item. Or if you have comments, it doesn't have to be phrased in the form of a question. We're not Jeopardy. Today, we're going to finalize the slate of candidates for our August election. This is a really important day for our organization. Our nominating committee has worked very hard to produce a good slate. And further in the meeting, Ron Yonke, who is the nominations committee chair, will be presenting that slate, after which we'll take nominations from the floor. We're also going to inform and educate about a proposal from Spectrum that has come to Charles's desk, and he would like to gauge the support or the interest from our organization in this proposal. This is not an LPOA proposal. It's not something the LPOA is bringing forward for a vote. This is simply an educational opportunity so you know that there's something out there that the administration and then the board will be considering in the future. Also, Michael Eggers, who's one of the 2 elected LPOA reps to the association board, will be talking about the draft proposal for the e-bike rule for 2027. So that'll be an interesting topic as well. And then finally, we have a really great property owner. You all are great. But Frank Jane, who you probably all know as the person who takes care and manages the community garden up by the old schoolhouse, a lovely person with a heart for all things Lakeside. He has been talking to me and the LPOA about bringing back Light Up Lakeside. He misses it terribly, and so this summer, from August 1st to August 8th, any time of any day, doesn't have to be for an entire week, but sometime during that week, you're encouraged to light up Lakeside and show your spirit, your Lakeside spirit. Here's a couple of pictures from Light Up Lakesides in the past. We'd like to make this an annual event. So please, if you've got Christmas lights you don't know what to do with, if they're still not put back in the attic from last summer, guilty, just put them on your tree, put them on your house, put them on your bush, and we'll light up Lakeside and express our good spirit. All right, the first agenda item is the CEO report. Charles Allen. I don't know why this mic is twisting, so I'm going to give it to you in its current condition.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, I can do one or two things. I can start with a lot of information some of you probably would not care about, or I can just take some questions with the things that's on your mind. So I can do either or, and so since we're going to do Q&A and we already have a large agenda, I'll just give you a couple things and then we'll take some questions. A couple questions I've just received in addition to all the emails of around stormwater, and still got about 100 emails in my inbox to get through, is how we're doing at the gates. We are doing well. We're trending about 3% behind on people days. Overall value is we're right about even in the overall value at the gates. The staffing levels are up. We now have adequate amount of lifeguards. However, we're still working through lifeguards to ensure that we have them through the end of the season. And so if you would, if you are a lifeguard or want to be a lifeguard towards the end of the season, please see our HR department, and that will help aid in that effort of making sure we have adequate amount of lifeguards through the end of the season. Overall, we did experience a lot of damage with the last rainfall, and unfortunately, we were not even completely finished from the last rainfall from remediating the damage at the hotels, Hoover, and other locations. And so we are working through that. The next phase of the streets and drainage project is the bid is underway and accepted. However, Fred and I, after the last couple rainfalls, have looked at some ongoing issues and how to address some of those issues. And so he is working with our contractor and other engineers on some solutions or things that can help mitigate those issues. And we have to look at it in a couple ways. What helps in normal rainfalls, anywhere from 1 to 5 inches of rain? What will help in areas of 5 to 10 inches of rain? And then there's probably not much we will be able to do when we have anything over 10 inches of rain or heavier in that regard, just based off the infrastructure and what is feasible to put into Lakeside at that particular time. And so we'll continue to work with that. I will be working with the board of directors so that we can continue the streets and drainage task force. And so we'll be putting together a new charter and asking for additional people to join to look beyond the street paving project, but to look deeper into at some of the drainage issues. And so we'll be retasking that task force to continue on as we reevaluate various areas. And that would be all of our runoff public areas, but also looking at unique situations even on various properties to say, you know, because every area has a different, have the same problem with water. However, there's probably a different approach or a different solution to those areas. And so there won't be a one-size-fit-all solution. And so that task force will be charged at looking at the various solutions and coming up with the best solution in that area or on that property to do that. And then we will discuss that with the property owner so then that we can come up to see how we can best deal with that issue. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions that you all may have. I was about to say, this is scary if you're letting me off that easy.
John Shive from Dayton, Ohio. I wasn't here for the big rainfall, but how many inches was it?
One report I got was 15, another report was 17, so I'm not exactly sure which one. Yeah, I know Kelly's got 17. I'm talking about the report I got for us, you know, so I'm not exactly sure. So somewhere between 15, somewhere around in there. Someone else told me it was probably 12, but you know, I'm not sure. But I know it was definitely over 10. Yeah. I'm not, yes. Any other question? It's a lot of rain in a short period of time.
You said that gate was, my name's Lucille Powers. You said gate was down 3% this year for people. I'm just wondering what the overall trend is year on year and where we are from, say, 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Great question. I can't answer how we're trending from 10 years ago sitting today, but I can tell you how we're trending overall over the last 5 years. And so we've been pretty steady over the last 3 years, right around 78,000, 79,000 people days.
Don Ramsey, 312 East 4th Street. Yeah, a question over the gift cards. Yeah, I think they replaced the 10 pass booklet that season pass holders could buy and use for friends and relatives. And I think the gate fees were around $20 when they started the $200 gift card. Now it's closer to $4. So with the $200 gift card, if you're using them on passes, you used to be able to buy 10 passes at the gate, and now you can only buy 5, and which I think is decreasing to a certain extent. The amount of people you're able to use. Plus, it's much more difficult than the old booklets were as far as to give to friends. But anyway, just a question if they've looked at increasing either to 400 or where you could buy maybe 4 per or 6 instead of 3.
Yeah. Great question. We are looking at a variety of different ways to discount season pass holders and cottage owners. And so I am fairly confident that our team will have a great proposal that we'll be including into the next budget cycle, and we'll be rolling that out, and probably in the fall as we look at that. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up high, so I won't tell you some of the things that I've put on the table for them to research and to look at and how we can achieve those discounts. But we are re-looking at those variety of different discounts. But also, in addition to that, passes, because we've heard the community and the desire, particularly to have family and friends in, and particularly those that may not want to enjoy the show or go to any other amenities, but just come in and visit with them. And so we're going to be addressing that over this into the next season for sure.
Celeste Williams at Lakefront, and Jasmine. For all of us who have gone digital and we have I'm sharing an experience. It's not a question. Those of us who maybe not appreciate the casualness that we used to have in checking in with our passes, I want to share an experience that I had recently. And I was 3 cars back going out of the gate at about 11 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I got up to showing my pass, I said, thank you for being so fastidious in checking other people's passes. And I'm putting my back to you over there, I'm sorry. So she said, well, can you believe it? I got on here at 8 o'clock this morning, and it was maybe 11 o'clock or more. And she said, she figured, how do I want to say that? She realized that there are many people who didn't pay enough, or didn't pay their car pass, or didn't pay their extra day, and she had created $800 more by making sure that she was doing her job the right way. So thank you for being patient. Thank you, that we are also preserving our income.
Jim Haskins, 521 Peach. Follow up on the gate question. Mm-hmm. Let's address the first 3 weeks, Memorial Day, first 2 weeks of June, this year versus the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Yep. We have been all season tracking at 3% past the last year. From the beginning of the season to now in people days. We've stayed steady at that same level.
It's not different from Memorial Day to 15 June as compared to the big July 4th.
Yeah. We dipped probably the second week of June a little bit more, and then we've equaled back out at 3%. So that's for, if you calculate it all together, we've been tracking right around that same percentage rate. The bigger percentage rate of drop has been the youth passes. Children's passes are up, but that's, we've calculated that to due to the age changes within that. And then we have one over here.
I'll keep this brief. I worked the gate last year, and I just want to say thank you to any Lakesiders who are polite to the people at the gate. It is not a fun job, and people are not happy coming in or going out, and they're really unhappy if they get caught not having a car pass. And so I appreciate you saying something kind to the person who was trying to ensure that people are paying their fees. That's all.
Dave Blank, 157 Lynn. I want to add one thing to what you said about the passes. We have to remember season passes in all this as well. And the season passes have been about 1,300 for the last 3 years, but that's up from 800 or 900 5 and 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of the daily passes and the season passes, which makes our total attendance. And you're just counting, your 3% is just counting the
Daily pass.
the daily passes, because there's no good way to determine how many days a season pass holder's here.
Right.
Hi. Hi, good morning, Charles.
Can't see you.
Oh, yeah, my name is Pinky.
Oh, hey, Pinky.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering if you can give us, if there's an update on a dog park for our dogs.
Oh, a dog park.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't have an update at this particular time. We have taken your requests, and I know we don't know if that's going to be feasible, but we'll keep looking into it and researching it.
Lynn Hudson, 324 Poplar. Charles, I'm wondering how many properties in Lakeside have consistent, repeated, serious water issues? Because I know we didn't want to spend over $30 million on an abatement to fix all of Lakeside. But as a Lakesider, we don't have that problem. But I think for the people who do, we're all Lakesiders, and those of us who don't have that problem are lucky. And for one, Richard and I would be happy to contribute some of our assessment to abatement of the homes that do have that problem, because we're all Lakesiders.
This is true. That's a great question. We are reevaluating all the water information that we've gotten in through Lakesiders who filled out those forms and that link. We reactivated that link to capture where we are now. Part of the task force job will be to look at each one of those situations and evaluate what's happened every time it rains, what happens at medium to heavy rains, and then what happens at abnormal rains. And so we to look at that. The exact number of properties I'm not sure of that happens every time it rains. I don't have that exact data at this time, but we do have a list of well over 100 plus properties that have reported water issues. But those are also at various levels. Awesome.
I'm sorry, Jim Edwards. To answer your question, the committee, the Drainage Committee, when we did the east side, were sensitive to any number of people, for example, who had curbs that they've constructed. And so when we had the paving done, we tried to work with each of those people, and if someone wanted something specially done, we tried to do that. And it generally was effective. We didn't get everybody, but it was a learning experience that we promised as a committee we would do. The other thing we tried and promised was, if there's some innovative things, let's see how they work. And one was on Jasmine between 4th and 5th, where the escarpment is, where the low spot is. We put a little infiltration gallery in there along the side of the street just to try it out and see how it worked, with the idea that if it was successful, we could transfer that to the west side of Lakeside. And it did remarkably well. And so as a committee, we're going to go back, I'm sure, and take a look at what we now know about what happened on the east side. Are there some things we need to go back and try to help over there, and certainly transfer what we learned when we go to the west side, almost on a property by property basis. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah.
I'm George McCormick at 171 Laurel. I'm very unhappy with, I have called several times, for instance, with Doolittle. You get no answer back. That morning of the heavy rain, I saw the water was running off a second down Laurel, just past my house, and then at that point it was coming through the yards, and it was the Laurel from, the third house to the lake was absolutely practically dry, except the rain was on it. But all the water was running through the yards, running off of that road, because it isn't ditched, of course, and filled all the basements on all three sides of the house. While it was happening, I called security to come down and look at it so they could see it. They wouldn't come, they never came, and they said, you have to call Doolittle. So I called Doolittle, and of course, they never came, and they said they'd call you back in 72 hours. I've still never had a call back from Doolittle in 72 hours. There's no reply from the people up there that are doing this. So how can they know what's going on? I'm really fed up. I've called the office, I've called your office several times, and I never get a reply back. This problem with the automatic telephones where they can just put you on hold and cancel out, and there is no operator to call you back, is really irritating.
George, I apologize that no one's gotten back with you. I will look into the calls. I on my line, I have not had a phone call or voicemail from you, so I do apologize if you've gotten lost in that process. I do know with the damage report that I received from Dennis Doolittle, him and his team were unfortunately working in a lot of our facilities and have been since the storm. And so, but I will be sure to make sure we address that. Also, while we're taking any other questions, just want to give a plug-in for the 18th, open dialogue with the board. And so we'll invite you all here for that time, and I think it'll be, again, some great dialogue with our board, opportunity to share other concerns as well. Yes, ma'am. Where are you?
Hi, I'm Tammy Block, and I'm at 528 Lynn Avenue. My question is, as a homeowner, I feel like a little person, basically. How do I know if the water damage at my house is or isn't being addressed? I just don't have any feedback other than I've sent pictures in. So it kind of goes along with the same line with the previous gentleman's comments.
Yes, ma'am. One of the things I can say is that past the second phase of we will continue the Streets and Drainage Task Force to begin to look at individual areas as well as the main areas so that we could put a plan together to help address those particular things at that time. I will, if you send me your, via email, your address, and I can connect with Fred to see if he's already looked at that and make sure someone contacts you. Yes, ma'am.
I would like the Drainage and Task Force to look closely at Kenton Row. We had 2 storm sewers that were throwing out water like you can't believe. I don't know if they were overloaded or they clogged up or whatever. We experienced in our crawl space 4 feet of water. Other people in Kenton Row have experienced water. And we used to have a road that sort of went like curved, and we saw the water move down through the middle of the road, and that got rid of a lot of water. And I think it was better that way than now it's sort of like a hump in the middle rather than a ditch type thing. But those storm sewers throw water all over down up by us, and it's a mess. So if you could look close at Kenton Row, I'd appreciate it. Our next door neighbor had about 5 inches of water in their backyard too.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Haskins, another question regarding priorities of staff and water. And that being this past week, on Wednesday night, we had to have a talent show here. Only parents could really get in. That's probably the most important event in Hoover for a lot of families. Why was Hoover not ready for Wednesday night?
It was flooded. And they worked really hard. They got to get it sanitized. When you have that amount of water, it takes time for it to recede, to pump out, and then you have to sanitize it, and it has to be safe. Those concrete floors can get very slippery if the carpets are up. And so, as I apologized to you on Walnut Plaza on Thursday, our team worked as hard as they could to get it open, and it just didn't happen.
But you said that you took the team to the hotels because they were needed there.
No, our teams were, well, our teams were divided between Hoover, the hotels, and they all worked very hard. We have a loss of business in the hotels as well, that we had to get rooms ready for our guests that was checking in. And so so they're all equally as important. We're not one over the other.
Richard Hudson, 324 Poplar. The water problem is not a problem that's going to go away. Global warming is changing the way heat comes off the equator. Some places are going to be hotter and drier. Some places are going to be wetter and colder, in fact. It looks like we might be wetter and colder. So in terms of water, on the equivalent of a biblical sesh, we're going to get it from time to time, and it might improve. At my age, we've lived in a number of places. I believe I've solved every water problem known to man. I'd be happy to take a look at anybody's house because I've employed some inventive solutions to my own problems.
Yeah. Thank you. We will be taking new blood on the Streets and Drainage Task Force for sure. Yes. All right. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I just have to tell you a memory of when I was manager of the Rhine Center. I called Dave one day. He was the VP of Municipal Services. And I said, there's a water main break at the Rhine Center. There's water bubbling up, and it's running down 6th Street to Walnut. And he came over right away, and he said, that's not a water main break. That is excess water in the limestone tables bubbling up. I think some of our water problems are that. I'm not an expert like Richard is, but I have first-hand experience with water bubbling up out of that limestone table. We don't sit on really well percolating land. So just keep that in mind as you work with Charles in the administration when we have these heavy rains. It doesn't all come, it's not all due to a lack of drainage. Some of it is due to water that comes up out of the ground, and that could be, I'm suspecting that could be part of the sewer problem as well. The water, once it drains down, doesn't have anywhere to go but back up. Okay, next up, we have the Community Relations Committee report, and our fearless Lynn Hudson is here to give it. Hi, Lynn.
Okay, the Community Relations Committee is chaired by Ron Yankee and includes Carolyn Fleischer, Jim Schweitzer, Tom Nutter, Beth Jennings-Sibring, and me. And you need to know these people because some of the issues that you have addressed here, we're already considering. That should make you feel better. But if you want further information, would members of the Community Relations Committee just stand for a second? Thank you. You're a member of the back row bunch? Wow. As an educator, I might not have predicted that. Okay. Marianne Kelmer is also an ex officio member of the committee. You know, she's on every committee. She's very busy. We met with Charles Allen on June 8th, and the topics we discussed are shown on this slide. Okay, so we did talk about the e-bike policy, the emerging e-bike policy. We talked about bringing back the homeowners coupon book. We talked about revising the background check policy, which was a concern of many early in the spring as we were soliciting volunteers for gardening. We talked about cutbacks in religious programming at the beginning of the season, and we talked about seasonal staff recruitment, training, and relations with the community, with particular attention to staffing the pool and the waterfront. I need to tell you that Charles listened very carefully. He understood the issues, and he responded very constructively, as he's tried to do today, to each of the things we mentioned. We're going to talk about all these things over the course of the summer and beyond, but today, because we have some time constraints, we just want to focus on a few things. Okay, one is the e-bike issue, which Mike will talk about. One is the upcoming elections, which Marianne has already mentioned, and you'll hear more about from some other people. And then also the proposal that the association received from Spectrum. Regarding the Spectrum proposal, Charles encouraged the LPO to participate in informing you, property owners, about the proposal. Jim Schweitzer and Beth Jennings-Sibring have experience in this area, so they agreed to work with Meg Johnson, the VP, and you're going to hear their presentation shortly. And regarding the e-bike policy, Charles also welcomed LPOA participation with respect to education and enforcement, and he said that he could foresee forming a safety committee composed of community members, LPOA members, staff, and Lakeside Association members. The third time-sensitive issue for us today is getting ready for our upcoming elections, and you're going to hear from several of us about that, so you'll be ready to cast your vote with the new bylaws and the new procedures. That's it. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Lynn? I see one in the back.
Thank you. Hi, Natalie O'Neill, 540 Oak. Just an anecdotal comment regarding the staff recruitment. I have a college student who contacted Lakeside saying that he had the month of May available to do any outside work pre-season, and he was told that if he couldn't work the entire season, they could not use his employment. So if you are looking for other options, you may want to consider that there are some students who can only work on the shoulders that may be useful.
That's very helpful, I'm sure. Charles has it, right?
We've got a question for Lynn in the back.
Hi, I'm David Park from 2nd Street. You mentioned that in your point number 8, the religious programming for youth. I've noticed that there was a reduction in the God Squad and in Chip Richter's participation, and I'm very concerned that this pillar of our organization is being short shrift. Would you address that?
Yeah. We'll ask Charles to do that.
One thing I can say for sure, as long as I'm here, the religious pillar will be a large focal point. It is our foundation. It is who we are, and it's in our mission statement. So we will continue to push for that. Unfortunately, we did have some differences within our structure this year where some felt that starting later would have been beneficial. Others, I know John and Bonnie was ready to go at the start of the season, and so they capped it to start all children religious programming a little bit later. After talking with Chip, he felt, I know that was part of his thing with teachers and how his volunteers come, but we are making every effort to make sure that pillar is extremely strong, and we're also looking at reevaluating in additional individuals that can help during those times when we are slow on volunteers and teachers to help God Squad and MGM thrive.
Let me just add that one of the things that came up in regard to that in our committee, you all know that we take attendance at every event, and we have to distribute funds, and one of the things that we think about is attendance at those events. And we suggested that, and Charles indicated when they think about that in the wintertime when they're planning the budget. Okay, so I suggested, I think it was me, that maybe when they're worried about making cuts to particular programs like God Squad MGM, there may be some Lakesiders who would like to invest some extra money to make sure that those programs would be offered as they have been in the past. And I say extra money because moving money from one place to another doesn't really help. So if you are a person who might be interested in doing that, you need to be aware when those decisions are being made. So you might see some efforts going forward to call out, and Charles just suggested that. So Charles is listening. Okay? Is that it? Oops, there's another one.
Erin Curry-Hosalfo, 545 Cedar. I just wanted to thank the committee, first of all, for taking that into consideration with the youth programming. I know that we definitely, I'm a parent of a child who's been going there for a long time, and it was noticed, it was discussed, I think, also by visitors. You know, it was a big concern. In addition, I would just ask that the committee, one of the concerns is we charge for children now, and we're a Chautauqua and we have 4 pillars. And I think in consideration with the budgets and what you were just discussing, Lynn and Charles, the programs for youth that are, I was just down at the dock, the free fishing. You have kids floating in and out of there, a grandparent can bring them down, whomever. The timed paid things seem to be the overwhelming majority, and there is very little programming for kids that is applicable, especially to certain ages. So we're charging for basically them being, using the facilities, which I understand. I think we just need to consider that as a whole and make sure at least every pillar has something that is part of that pass.
Thank you. Anyone else? Moving on.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Charles. Now we move to the Finance Committee. Karen Mader is the chair of the LPOA Finance Committee. This committee is not associated with the Finance Committee of the Association Board. Our Finance Committee was established during my presidency to communicate with Lakeside Administration Finance Department 4 times a year to be updated on assessment issues. Assessment issues, are, as you know, are relevant only to property owners, and that's why we set up this communication with Sam Chalia 4 times a year. This was the first meeting with Sam and Karen's committee since she's been elected, so I'm anxious to hear from Karen. Thank you.
Oops, hello. You can all hear me. First of all, I want to thank Sam. Sam, are you here? Oh, yes, good, because you can answer some questions if anybody has them. So myself, Sam, Mark Schneider, who could not be here due to expecting another grandchild, and Ernie Dietz. Ernie, are you here? Ernie's here. I want to thank, really, the group and meeting with Sam and coming together and putting this slide presentation together just to go over some basics on assessments. The first slide is there wasn't much activity on the treasurer's side. What was that? Oh, okay. It's a, we finished the, okay, they're going to be attached to the minutes when the minutes goes out, but not much activity for the month of June. We ended a balance of $32,344 for the end of June. So not much, a little slower right now. Next, we're just going to go over some things with the assessments. We met with Sam to review how expenses are allocated to the assessments. And some of this is a review, I'm sure, but I thought we would just go over some general things. Property owners pay an annual assessment bill at the end of each quarter not to exceed 1% of appraised value. The annual assessment are used solely for sanitation services and street improvements according to the lease. Current base assessment is 0.491%. In 2023, a special assessment of 0.149% for streets and drainage was added to the base rate, totaling 0.64%. Following the reappraisal of properties at a significantly increased total value, $483,787,000 versus $358,925,000, the special rate was deemed unnecessary for achieving the association's financial objectives regarding the streets and drainage project. Consequently, the special assessment was discontinued at the end of the quarter of March 2025. Campground residents are seasonal and pay an annual fee and zero in assessments. Island View has their own account and expenses, and Lakeside charges Island View for service expenses incurred. One thing, I know a lot of people leave for winter break. If you would like to have your assessment bill emailed to you, you can either stop in the association office or you can email Pam to request to have your assessment bill emailed to you, which I just did this following week. Permitted assessment activities that can be charged are pickup and removal of trash, cleaning of public restrooms, installation and repair of street signs, sidewalk repairs, street light maintenance and cleaning, maintaining parking lots and parking signs, maintaining storm sewers, and cleanup work after storms. Rubbish removal is also included and is roughly $230,000 annually. Municipal services, which includes maintenance, grounds, and security. Administration includes all other departments except for municipal services, and then also street project expenses. Assessment expense for municipal services is used supporting permitted activities is allocated each month, a total percentage. It differs each month according to the activities. Summer and fall months are higher. On average, roughly 67% of municipal services budget is allocated versus 65% in 2023-24 and 69% in 2022-23. 2019-2020, $556,000 was expensed for the MKSK study. As far as administration expenses, a percentage of administration expenses that support municipal services and permitted activities. Approximately 10% of administration budget is allocated versus 10% in 2023-24 and 19% in 2022-23. So the amount has been reduced. Major expenses as far as the street project include contractors, project engineers, and professional charges. All expenses and calculations are reviewed by the Finance Committee of the Board along with Dave Blank. If assessment income exceeds allocated expenses, the surplus is carried forward to the next year to offset future expenses. In case of a deficit, funds are allocated from other sources. During the 2019-2022 fiscal period, deficits were funded by funds received from gate fees. It appears that a detailed calculation is in place to ensure that only permitted activity expenses are assessed. There is a periodic review and approval process by the board to make sure allocation and expenses are appropriate. So, are there any questions that Sam or Dave or anybody would like to ask? It's exciting stuff, I know. So thank you, and thank you, Sam, for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Karen, and thanks for the encouraging final conclusion that Lakeside, the Lakeside is doing everything it promised it would do and is maintaining its books faithfully to manage the assessments. And I'm glad you have an independent assessment of the assessments. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, Ron Yankee. He is the fearless chair of the nominating committee for this year's election, and I'll turn it over to you.
I'd like to begin by asking my fellow committee members to stand and be recognized: Jeanette Keaton, Greg Linville, Tim Mall, and Fran Rodstrom. Thank you very much for your service. What we did was to take the nominations that were received from several locations. Some people, in response to my announcement at the May meeting, subsequent Facebook notices, self-nominated, and we thank you for those. Some people recommended persons to us, and we thank the people who made those recommendations. In addition, our committee members each came up with recommendations of our own, which we discussed. And I'd like to point out that our committee members consisted of campground residents, Island View resident, and residents within cottages within Lakeside between 1st and 5th, east of Central and west of Central. We think we had as big of a vision as we could to identify potential candidates. Close to 40 people were discussed and contacted. The contacts were made by individual members of the committee and then discussed. We made well over 100 of those phone calls and emails to contact people. I would like to thank every person who talked to a committee member about their interest in being a officer or trustee of the LPOA. Even if you didn't decide to run this year, we thank you for your interest. Next, I'd like to introduce our slate of nominees, and we thank them very much for willing to step forward. And would they please stand as I read their names? Please hold any applause till the end. Lori Schweitzer, a nominee for president. Roger Gilchrist, a nominee for vice president. Ginger O'Malley, a nominee for sergeant at arms. For trustee, we have 3 nominees for 2 positions: Todd Bundy, Bruce Hall, and Rob McFarland, who cannot be with us today because he had a plane canceled from Europe. Thank you very much, all of you. Just to clarify the role of the nominations committee, our work concludes today. Our job is to vet the candidates to make sure that they meet the requirements of our bylaws. We present them without recommendation as a committee. Our job is to identify interested candidates and present them to you. The nominating committee does not campaign for its slate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. It's a very important job that you did. It's a short-term commitment to be the chair of a nominating committee or a member of the nominating committee, but it is so important and vital to the life of our organization. And I thank you and all the committee members again for participating and serving on that committee. Now it's time to entertain nominations from the floor for these 5 positions. For the first position, it is the president of the LPOA. We are, if you have someone to nominate, or if you are self-nominating, would you please stand at this time? Thank you. The second position is for vice president of the LPOA. If you are nominating a person, or if you would be interested in nominating yourself, would you please stand at this time? Okay, the third position is sergeant at arms. Sergeant at arms, by the way, is what Carol Robertson currently holds, and she's ending her term as well. If you would like to nominate someone or nominate yourself for the position of sergeant at arms for the LPOA, would you please stand? Thank you. And now we have 2 trustee positions that are open. And if you would like to nominate yourself or another member of the LPOA for the position of trustee, would you please stand at this time? Thank you. So the slate is as follows. The nominee for president is Lori Schweitzer. The nominee for vice president is Roger Gilchrist. The nominee for Sergeant at Arms, Ginger O'Malley. And the 3 nominees for the 2 open positions for trustee are Todd Bundy, Bruce Hall, and Rob McFarland. Thank you very much. We will have the election on August the 8th at our next LPOA general meeting. And here to tell us all about how to vote is Jerry Leibarger.
We're going to have our own talent show, okay? Oops, I'm sorry. I could stand up here, I just feel trapped behind this thing, and read my slide, or we could demonstrate. Do you guys want to see if your LPOA members can have any talent in terms of voting? Raise your hand. All right, so that's what we're going to do. All right, so the first thing is how you can vote. As I talked about last time, we changed our bylaws. You can vote by mail, which we're going to demonstrate, or you can vote in person. I think we all know the in-person drill, right? We've been doing that for years. You show up, you have to be a member of the LPOA, they mark your name off, you get a ballot. Carol does a wonderful job collecting those and then reporting out. So what I want to focus on today is really the mail-in voting process. So we're going to demonstrate this for you. What you need to do the mail-in voting is, first of all, we will have a ballot on the LPOA website, which is written up here. It's the lksdpoa.org. And just for sake of demonstration, you're going to print that ballot out when it's available. You're going to fill it out according to what you want. You're going to take that ballot, you're going to fold it up, and you're going to put it into a blank envelope. Okay, don't write anything on this envelope. This is just the ballot envelope. So we're going to put our ballot in here. We're going to seal it. We're going to take that ballot and we're going to fold it up. Okay, it's blank, remember. Do not write your name on the ballot. We don't want to know how you voted, okay? Just FYI. You're going to put it into another envelope. It's going to be addressed to the LPOA address up here. It must have a legible return address so that we know you voted. So in case you show up again on voting day and you've forgotten or you just want to test our process, which, you know, we're expecting you to do, we know you voted and could mark your name off. And then you're also going to sign your name on the back, very legibly. We need to be able to read it. You're going to take your ballot envelope. You're going to put it into this envelope. You're going to seal that, and you're going to mail it. Now, here's the really fun part. You're going to give it to your mailman or put it in the mailbox at Marblehead. Okay? And for those of you that live here, you know mail takes a long time. Okay? It's not like a regular place. From what I understand, our mail goes to Detroit, and then it's postmarked, and then it's sent. So don't wait until like the 7th to do this. We need these mail-in ballots by the 9th so that when we hold the election on the 11th, we know who's voted by mail already. So your mailman is taking a long time to deliver this letter. And very good, Mike. And it will come into our P.O. box, and then what happens?
If I was accurate, I would have gotten lost in the process.
Yes. Delivered to the wrong address.
All right, Carol, take it away. What do you do now?
Okay, so then I would get.
Yes.
The election is on August 8th.
Oh,
It's a
thank you.
Saturday.
Thank you. Yeah, so we need it 48 hours before that.
So not the 9th, you need it by the 6th,
We need
correct?
it by the 6th.
Okay.
So mail it at least a week early, what we're saying. All right. Carol, take it.
So I would get this envelope and I would open it, make sure that everything is correct on the front and the back. And then I would mark your name off the list as having received a ballot. And then this would just go into the ballot box until Saturday when we would count the ballot at that time.
Any questions for us about how to vote by mail? Oh, there's one in the back. Yep.
Jeanette Keaton, 1314 East 4th Street. Mine isn't about voting.
Uh-huh.
Most of the elections are uncontested, but we have 3 candidates for 2 positions for trustee. So will they be putting together little statements about why they're running and what they want to accomplish so that we know something about them?
Yes, that is something the nominating committee asked them to do, right, Ron? He asked them to put together statements, and we will be able to publish those on our website or send out a special mailing.
Nancy
And they'll
Jacob,
go out with the minutes.
443 Walnut. Will you update the website to show the correct date so we don't have some confusion about?
Yeah, thank you for
the
pointing
receipt
that out.
date?
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
thinking about today and not next month. My bad, but absolutely.
Understandable.
Yeah. Anything else? Lynn Hudson.
As a former resident of Tucson, I would suggest don't do it a week early. Do it even earlier, because my experience is when I get mail from Tucson, it is often 13 days from the postmark date when I get it.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynn.
Hi, Melissa Riggins. I'm just, if your check on whether someone is voted by mail is the return address, I think you need to make very clear that there can only be one person's ballot in each envelope that is sent in.
Very good point. Yeah. So 1 ballot per envelope. Thank you for bringing that up.
That was my question.
Oh, that was Dave's question. Yeah, good catch. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Thanks, you guys. Have any questions, send them to the LPOA mailbox and we'll get back to you.
Thank you to our crack performance team, Jerry, Carol, and Michael. I just want to make very clear that you do not vote both ways. You either vote by mail or you vote in person, and we have checks and balances in place. In case you forgot one or the other, we have a system for that. And there's a question here. And while we're waiting, Michael, remember those 2 flies you killed before the? There's more. Relatives, they're having a family reunion today.
Would you reiterate the change in the bylaws regarding how many people can vote from each address?
Thank you, sure. 2 members are allowed for each cottage lease, limited to 2 people regardless of how many properties you own. If you own 1 property, the voting members are 2. They must both be members of the LPOA. And in the bylaws, there is a deadline for when you can become a member in order to vote. All of you have received the bylaws after the May meeting. You all received a copy of the updated amended bylaws, and if you haven't opened it, it's in your file waiting for you to read line by line. Any other questions about voting? Great. We hope this eliminates some of the long lines on voting day. We're always looking for ways to make that process streamlined. Part of the long lines is that people tend to come to the meeting shortly before the meeting starts, and we get clogged up. At the May meeting, we had 10 entry volunteers to check you in, and we're planning to have that number again in August. So we're doing everything possible to manage the check-in process at our August meeting. All right. The next item on the agenda is the opportunity from Spectrum that was delivered to the Lakeside administration. Charles received it. Meg has been evaluating it. This is not, and I repeat, this is not an LPOA proposal. We are acting as educators at this point to educate you about what the proposal was at the request of Charles. It's important to Charles and ultimately the association board to be able to make a wise decision in this regard. And I thank you, Charles, for asking the LPOA to help in the information piece, in the education piece, which is something I'm always very anxious to do, to help the association run smoothly. You can make a better decision if you're well informed. This is an informational presentation. We will not ask the LPOA membership for a vote because it's not our proposal. This is information only, and so I give the microphone to Beth. Beth, can you do both things, or do you want someone to take your place?
I think I can go back and forth.
She's multi-talented. All right, here you go. Thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Mary Ann. Jim Schweitzer is here in the room, and he's going to help me especially answer any questions because he's got a lot more expertise in this field. And Meg Johnson is here to answer questions or to hear what your reaction is because she's ultimately one of the authorities within the administration, along with Charles, who can decide on this, accepting or not accepting this proposal. Okay. All right, so I'll have to read my own slide here. In a nutshell, this is top to bottom what is contained in this proposal that was, oh, okay, thank you. Proposal that came to us from Spectrum. We all know Spectrum. This is a proposal that came from a division of Spectrum. It's called Spectrum Community Solutions. And what they do is provide bulk internet, Wi-Fi, TV services to what they consider to be defined communities. And we fit into that category. These are communities like apartment complexes, condo communities, college campuses and dorm rooms, retirement communities, and HOAs. So Spectrum makes a practice of presenting proposals just like this to hundreds of defined communities. Spectrum has in fact presented Lakeside with a proposal. The key elements, it's significantly discounted and enhanced or higher speed internet, Wi-Fi, and TV services. It's for every property owner, and it includes free services in all public spaces across our campus. Again, this is no different than the way they construct these proposals for other communities. The reason they're doing this is because they want to win a total customer base and not have to continue to incur the business costs of marketing and then ultimately billing, you know, hundreds of consumers in a defined community. So if Lakeside were to accept this, Lakeside would need to handle the individual billing to each cottage owner for these discounted Spectrum services. That's part of the win for Spectrum, is not have to issue 1,000 individual bills and collect. That would feasibly be a line item on the quarterly statement we all get now for our assessments and for our trash and recycling. Like other essential services, very much like trash and recycling, like water and sewer, there wouldn't be any opt-outs for any particular household. Just like there are no opt-outs, none of us can say, I don't want recycling, or I don't want to pay for recycling in January. It's an all or none, because that's the win for Spectrum. So then Spectrum is kind of sweetening that pot to offset the costs that Lakeside would incur in billing all the households and the likely potential that some of those bills are not paid. Lakeside would receive up front a one-time payment from Spectrum of just under $150,000. Again, that's a reflection of what Spectrum is not going to be spending to, you know, put flyers at our door and call us to try to sign us up. The thought that Lakeside administration has is to take that $150,000 and invest it and then use the earnings of that money to offset, again, the cost of billing and any potential non-payment by individual cottage owners. And lastly, this would be a 5-year agreement with a guaranteed cap on annual price increases of 5%. So no more than 5% increase between the year when it's accepted. Yeah, you had a question?
I thought she was done. Do you want me to wait? No. Okay. Most cottage owners who aren't here year-round turn their cable off, so that's no longer an option, and Spectrum hasn't had any competition until just now. So I'm just kind of wondering if they're going to allow us to turn it off part of the year, or if this is year-round.
Good question. I'll keep going through the details of the proposal, and we'll see if your questions get answered, and if not, handle them at the end. So here's kind of the status quo. 850 of the 1,000 households that would be included in this proposal, in this contract, are already Spectrum customers. And just like you said, it breaks out into individual plans and time of the year. So the bulk of cottage owners that fall into that 850 are keeping internet and TV services year-round. There's definitely another portion that go on the Snowbird plan, that turn off Spectrum. The maximum amount of time you can do that is 6 months, and then you can restart it after 6 months, and you're subject to whatever their current consumer rate is at that point. And still other people, you see that last line item out of 85%, a few people subscribe for the season, cancel, take their equipment and turn it into a Spectrum local office, and then look for a new customer offer the coming season. And again, there's a wait period before you can be considered a new customer. 15% of Lakeside households that are considered for this proposal, so about 150 households, do not subscribe to Spectrum today. And then that breaks down to some of those 150 subscribe to another service, and then there's a handful of cottages that have no internet service at all. So just so you know, that's where it stands right now. This is what property owners, each individual property owner would receive. For a monthly price of $55, which is about a 50% discount for the average Spectrum bill, it would be a gigabyte of internet, Spectrum TV service, 9 free streaming services, and I'll show you what those are on the next slide. And then if you're already a Spectrum customer, you probably know they give a Zumo box. It's like Roku, or you've seen those devices. It's a portable box that connects you to Spectrum TV, to the streaming services, to the internet. And the fact that it's portable means that at the end of the season or whenever you leave Lakeside, you could take that box with you to your other residence or to your Florida destination and bring your Spectrum TV and streaming services with you at no additional cost. Customers of this plan also have dedicated customer service and the opportunity to have installation handled with an appointment, somebody coming in. You don't have to self-install, even though it's pretty easy. And then again, every property owner would see that $55 a month times 3 on their quarterly statement from Lakeside. And again, it's guaranteed not to go up more than 5%. That's what a Zumo box looks like up there in the upper left. It's like the size of a sandwich. And then these are the free streaming services that are currently provided as part of this proposal. And this is what, when you turn it on, this is what your TV screen looks like. Direct access to Spectrum TV and all the free and additional streaming services that you use. Okay. So financially, this is kind of how it breaks down. And I don't have the percentages of the households that use each of these plans, although we've asked Spectrum for that. But if you are currently a Spectrum, what they call a high-speed customer, you have their best plan. This proposal would save you $1,200 a year for what you're already using, no change required. If you are considered a Spectrum best value customer, that's what I suspect that most of us are, 500 megabyte internet and more channels than you could possibly watch, your savings would come in at about $960 a year per cottage, per Spectrum account that you have. If you are a budget customer, somebody who uses internet only 12 months a year, it's a savings of about $180 a year. And then, just as was raised, there are definitely a minority of property owners that would incur expenses if Lakeside were to go forward with this plan. So again, the snowbird customers, the people that put their plan on pause, would end up, they would have internet year-round, and it would cost them about $150 more a year to have it. If you are somebody who cancels, returns your equipment, resubscribes, this would end up costing you about $210 more a year. If you're not a Spectrum customer at all, obviously you would be paying for Spectrum, and that would, $55 a month equates to $660 annually. That would also apply to people who use a competing service and for whatever reason choose to keep it, which may or may not be anybody. And then across the community, part of the plan is that Spectrum offers internet in all our public spaces, all our parks, Hoover, recreation facilities, Walnut Plaza, the hotels, with the exception of offices. I should have taken that off. That's under a separate contract with Amplex. But what the free services cost Lakeside today, what would become free, that would be a savings of about $21,600 annually, because Spectrum would be providing for free internet access that Lakeside is currently paying for, or really we're paying for. Then again, there's the one-time payment of about $150,000 that Lakeside would propose to invest to earn some money. So what it nets out to is, if you consider what all of us are currently paying Spectrum, and what we would save for Spectrum service in the public spaces, it's a community savings of about $480,000 every year of the contract. It also will deliver improved internet service for many, both in our households and also in all our public spaces. And then the clear cons, the downsides, the trade-off, is that there's a minority of property owners that would incur new expenses if they chose to keep a competing service, or if they have no service at all. Now they would go to having a charge. So that's kind of how it nets out. And as Marianne mentioned, the reason we're here is to make you aware of this proposal and for Lakeside administration to gauge your response. Lakeside isn't planning to accept this unless it's generally seen as a positive by the majority of community members. And that's not by vote. As Marianne said, we're not passing out ballots about this, but Lakeside is very much interested in whether you see this as a positive. So just some questions to consider. Are the majority of us in favor of doing this? Again, it's not a voting matter. It's a matter of delivering cost savings and improved infrastructure or internet service to the community. It's at the end, it'll be the administration to decide, but the administration wants to know what you think. And so you see here Meg Johnson's email and a request for you to submit your questions or concerns or comments or whatever by the end of July to Meg's address. And if you would, to use the subject line Spectrum proposal so that she can sort it out with other incoming mail. Ginger, is that you? No.
Ginger Leonard, 215 West 5th. I'm one of the minority who does not use Spectrum. I have another service that works very well. But for those of us who are the minority, it will affect our bill at home because we get a discount because we're using our service out here. So that's just really a comment on my part.
And
so it's going to be a cost increase for us at home as well as here.
Okay. Thanks for that, Ginger.
Martha Damsky, 416 Sycamore. I just have a question as to if the internet goes out, does it go out Lakeside total, all over?
Jim could probably best answer that.
Yeah, actually, whoa, that's loud. There's a problem with Spectrum. Everybody knows when we lose power, we lose Spectrum, and I have a battery backup and I still lose my service. They don't have batteries in their power supply down on 2nd Street, and they're going to be putting those in so that their service does not go out when the power goes out. So that's part of this proposal. The other thing, too, is the video that you get here is portable. So you can take this video to wherever you live, second homes or primary residence, anywhere. So if you want, take this expense here and save it home.
Again, Georgia McCormick, 171 Laurel. Several questions. One thing, I don't know where they're getting their numbers for how much it's costing. I've been paying $280 for 2 years per month for Spectrum.
Yikes.
So I don't know where the $150 is coming from.
So you would save a lot more.
Huh?
You would save a lot more, is what you're saying.
I don't know. And the other thing is on there, they say they include the TV, but they have different prices on TV. Are they just including the very cheap one with about 3 places and nothing else? It doesn't say, it just says TV. But Spectrum has different charges on different amounts you get on.
It's their, I'm pretty sure it's their 2nd tier plan, which is close to 200 channels.
Is that what they say they're going to have, 2nd tier? And then the other thing is, I have a disconnect or a $20 charge when I'm gone, and I'm going to have to pay that full fee the whole time.
That's what you're saying, that's what their disconnect or their snowbird price is right now? Okay.
Beth, thank you for the excellent presentation. Campground, Greg Linville. Does this affect us who are only up there for a few months? How do we figure into that in the campground?
Jim or Meg, do you know that? I'm not sure if campground is even considered year-round. Jim?
They don't have infrastructure to service trailers like they do the cottages because there's no utilities, taps, drops, and all that stuff. So you're just on the standard internet, which you don't pay for today anyway. Or is that Greg, where were you at? No, you're already getting free internet, right?
Correct.
So he's asking, can they improve the internet? I believe they can, but right now the campground residents do not pay for their internet service. It's given to them.
And then I need to add a correction to this, is that we cannot add this to the billing of assessments. It would have to be a separate bill if that was the case. So our lease does not allow that to happen. So this would have to be a separate thing, and so we cannot add that. So I want to make that very clear. That is not, that can't be possible.
Right. I think the thought is Lakeside is generating a piece of paper once a quarter, and it has your assessment charge on it, and it has your recycling and trash. This would be another line item. So it doesn't need to be. Okay.
So, Jack Allen, 344 Vine. This is fascinating, but I did just leave Spectrum after many years of being ignored and went with Frontier. It's a fascinating proposal, but my question is, if Lakeside is interested in this kind of thing, are we going to solicit proposals from other providers to see if...
We did, a little bit anyway, but one of the issues we were concerned with, we didn't look to all of them. Omnifiber is out there surrounding our community. And if they were to want to come in, that would add one more wire to everywhere in this place. So we've got 3 providers in here now. And, Frontier just did their program with fiber. We have Amplex, which is about 20% of the residents, and they have not built out the rest, which would add more wires to our poles. And right now, for a bulk deal, we only have an offer from Spectrum.
I have a question, please. So, several, actually. I think that some of the dollar figure savings are exaggerated for this reason. For instance, we had Spectrum before we switched to Frontier. And when I threatened to cancel Spectrum, which we did ultimately, they reduced their price for TV. It was a limited number of channels, but it had everything we needed just about. And 1 gig, they reduced the whole package to $97. And we paid that for a little while. So the savings isn't as much. And then the other thing is that when you talk about a limited number of people who don't use it in the winter or something, well, I'm on Peach, and I look up and down the street in the winter, and there are no lights. There's nobody. And so there's a lot of people that don't need it in the winter. And then the last thing I'm concerned about is, okay, so this year we're going to have a mandatory cable bill. What comes the next year? Does that encourage Lakeside now to come up with other things that we need to help us? And then lastly, if this is such a great deal, Lakeside wouldn't be getting $147,000.
Hi, Susie Raphael, 509 Park Row. We implemented this program in our condo association in Columbus, and there were quite a few people who weren't very happy, but it has turned out to be marvelous. It has saved us money. It is user-friendly. The other thing is our community got a phone number where we can call that is just for us, and we get immediate response. They come out and help, and it has saved us money.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim, one of the questions would be on trying to figure out your savings. It had like 9 streaming things there.
Yeah.
Plus, you have basically a Roku. So if you have 2 houses, I'm assuming you still pay for internet at the other one, but you can now eliminate a lot of those streaming services and your cable bill there because you just take the one from here there, correct?
Yeah, in the savings, that Beth did not put in the value. Go back to the one with.
That's what I was trying to figure out is
So
how
all
much.
these here, so if you were to buy Disney Plus or HBO on your own, and you add up all those extra services, there's an additional, who knows, $70, $80, $90 a month in what you would have been charged.
And you can take them with you.
And they're portable wherever you go. So whatever house you're living in at the moment, you would get all of those as well. So overall, there is a value. And today, we're hearing from people that don't have some of the modern technologies here. That in my house, for example, my thermostats are on Wi-Fi. That has to be 12 months a year. So when I'm down in Florida, I know what my house is doing. I have Ring doorbells so that I know who's ringing my bell when I'm not at the house. That's all Wi-Fi 12 months a year. So some of you, as you move toward those technologies, will recognize that vacation disconnects for 6 months a year aren't going to satisfy your thermostat, or whether your house is heated or flooding or whatever. But that's personal choice. We're only offering what is an opportunity here, and this is a feedback session.
But as you're trying to figure out your own ROI,
mine is phenomenal.
You'd have this, so is mine, I think. Yeah. You'd have this package here. Yeah. You'd still pay for internet at the other place. But then you would eliminate your Disney Plus subscription, your Netflix, your YouTube.
Yeah.
Your Prime you get.
So for the second home, I would be saving something like $80 or $90 a month.
Right, you're not just saving it here, you're potentially saving it there. So if you're trying to figure out your own, it might be worth adding up because it's going to add up pretty quick.
I'll come back to you. Tom Richards, 617 Cedar. The question I had is we have multiple TV setups, so is there extra charges for extra Zumo boxes and setups?
There's no set-top box. First of all, it's streaming. So if you
Right.
already have a smart TV that can do Spectrum app, or an Apple TV device or a Roku device that can do Spectrum app, you can also get it that way. And all of these are separate apps on a smart TV or a box.
Right.
I don't know if there's an additional Zumo cost if you get more than one Zumo.
Okay, multiple Zumo. The other point I just wanted to indicate, we used to do the Spectrum and cancel and renew every year, get a new member price. This last year, we were offered to continue our existing rate, and we're only doing internet only because we were doing over the air and streaming. But just internet only price through Spectrum was $40 a month. And I think that's 200 megabit. So this is an improvement, slightly different price, but it would be year round. And I offer that as a comparison of what my experience is.
Every year I call Spectrum and say, I got competition now and I'm switching, and they would then lower my price. This year they said, congratulations, we enjoyed your service. Your price is not changing this year. So I said, oh, well, this is a far better deal, but for me, your feedback is important to us.
Jeanette Keaton, 1314 East 4th Street in Island View. Is Island View included in this?
Yes.
Okay. So I have two more questions. Have you done a comparison of this new rate against what Frontier is offering? Because we're on Frontier and we got a significantly reduced rate from them. I don't know what it is. I'm taking pictures of this from my husband who handles it. But he was very unhappy with Spectrum services. So have we done a comparison with Frontier?
Well, if you're going to compare at 1 gigabit, this is still a better deal. And if you're getting video from Frontier, they only pass through YouTube TV. So you have to look at their costs for YouTube TV on this package.
Yeah, which is what we have. We have YouTube TV.
So if you can get YouTube TV and your Spectrum internet for $55 a month, then you would say how much, you would say, I've already got a good deal. But I don't think you have that deal.
Yeah, and I don't know. I can't answer you. But my last question is the $480,000 in savings over the course of it, what percentage increase annually have you included in that to come up with that saving? Is it the maximum of 5% or is it a lesser amount?
This is a one-year savings demonstration.
Oh, it was a one-year savings.
First-year savings.
Okay. So if you figure in a 5% increase over the remaining 4 years, I'm curious where we are at that
If you look at your agreement with Frontier, you have a one-year price guarantee, and you're going to be surprised at year 2.
Doug Adams, 409 Sycamore. We're going to do a tag team because my wife has a different question than mine. I just want to be really clear that the logos across the bottom are not the names that are in the list of 9. So do not confuse the logos at the bottom are what you're getting. Or is it the list on the left? The list on the left. So you do not get YouTube TV, you do not get Netflix, you do not get Apple TV.
Correct.
Actually, like Susan, I have this plan at my home in Dublin.
No.
These are the 9 currently. Doug, thank you for pointing that out. It's the text list in the bottom left. That was a screen share. But like Susan, I have this service at home in Dublin, and it's up to 11 streaming services that are included at no cost now. So I think that's kind of a moving target.
Yeah. And then I'll pass it to Nancy. But the our lease with Lakeside does not give Lakeside the opportunity to charge and enforce other services. So somehow this would have to have something that would say, if this was something that moved forward on, how do we enforce that Lakeside can collect the money from people as opposed to ending up with a bunch of filings of, just like we deal with people who haven't paid their assessments, this is something Lakeside would have to seriously consider. They want to get in the business of being the intermediary for the cable company. Even if it's great savings for the owners, there may not be an enforceability of collection. And that's something that ultimately would come back to the P&L that would concern me. Go ahead.
Is there a package for internet only?
No, it's the package as presented at $55 a month.
Well, you need to address Doug's question.
I have a question following Nancy's comment. If there's no package for internet only, then why wouldn't I just use the free Wi-Fi that's across the community and not pay for the $55? That's something I'm not understanding.
Most homes won't receive much of what's in the community Wi-Fi. You're dealing with your walls and your structure, but because you might be, you probably won't even be within reach of, well, you might get some Wi-Fi from Shuffleboard, but not everybody's going to be by a community Wi-Fi area. No, it's not. When that says community-wide, they don't mean every single location and everywhere you walk. It's going to be in parks, buildings, houses we own, buildings we own. It's not, it's where we have our service. It's like this building here, where you can get public service here. Doug, your question was cost to Lakeside. They're giving $147,000 some odd dollars that would be invested so that there's a recurring earnings. We don't know. What you're asking is what's going to be the cost of Lakesiders that don't want to be good Lakesiders?
So Jim, if I did the quick math, 147,000, that would be the equivalent of 223 people not paying for 1 year at $55 a month, okay? So over 5 years, that means that if 40 or 50 households decided I'm not paying, then it's a net cost to Lakeside. That's not enough of an insurance because that's 5%. And given the people who want to have their own ability to choose, I don't think that covers Lakeside. It doesn't even do anything to reimburse Lakeside for having to send separate bills and the postage associated with that and all the, I mean, we have a full-time accounting person. So when people are concerned about headcount, this is a forced utility. I have no idea how a forced utility would get accepted by a number of people. And I just think the administration is going to have to take a hard look at that. And that's something that I would want to see a lot of cost-benefit analysis on.
I see Meg is paying close attention to that comment, so that's good.
Kathy Holland at 409 Maple. I don't have Spectrum, I have an alternate. And you didn't say what local channel news? Detroit, Toledo?
Great question. With Spectrum, so this is where my expertise comes in because I've built cable systems across the country for my career prior to Lakeside. But Spectrum's receiving site is in Sandusky. You'll see it on off Route 4 going over towards Sandusky, all those cable dishes out there. So it's called, in the old times, grade B contours. So you get a couple of Cleveland stations on top of all of the Toledo. You won't get that with Frontier or anybody else because they receive out of Toledo. So at least Spectrum gives you a couple Cleveland stations. That's the difference.
Hi, Brenda Baker on Vine Street. I just want to confirm that the Spectrum box does not require you to have Spectrum internet at another location because we don't have Spectrum, nor can we get it at the other places.
It's the same as your Roku or any other box you plug into any internet. It's portable, so you can take your Zumu box anywhere. You could take it to a hotel if you're traveling.
That's why I said, great, thank you.
I thought that the issue was that Lakeside might not have the authority to make this bill. I thought that was the issue he was raising. But my question is, my understanding is that there's a significant percentage of Lakeside cottages that are not winterized. Does somebody know that percentage? Because they certainly couldn't take advantage of cable in the winter.
Anybody?
What I'd like to comment on is how much I appreciate the process to the staff and to the committees and everybody. This is what we need in Lakeside, is a place to come and listen to one another and make a good decision collectively. And so I appreciate the spirit in which this is being done. I think we're going to come up with the best solution, but we have to have that attitude that we can learn from one another and let us listen.
Thank you, Greg.
Larry Pitlick on Walnut Street. We've used T-Mobile for our phones for many years, and then we finally up here got tired of the price increases from Spectrum, along with them raising the rates when it was on hold for the winter too. And then they seem to say they won't raise the rates, but then they come up with the different line items for different charges. Right now, T-Mobile, we have both of our cell phones with T-Mobile, and they offer home internet plans starting as low as $35 a month with options for bundling with phone service for additional savings, and can get you down to about $30 a month with their 55 or over plan. So depending on who your phone's with, you should also maybe check with T-Mobile or your phone provider. And along with that, you get free Netflix if you're on the T-Mobile internet. And we've had no problems for several years with the T-Mobile tower with the internet. Thank you.
Lori Schweitzer, 526 Elm. I just have a couple observations, and I live with a cable guy my whole life. So, number one, I think this is a huge decision, and I'm hearing a lot of ideas about billing. But I also heard one thing earlier in the meeting that caught my attention. I said, hey, Jim, are we doing that? The cost of billing the homeowners would be, of course, staff time, but I believe in technology. I also think it's great that Lakeside would offer that instead of sending me assessments in the mail 4 times a year, that they would email them to me, because that's how we get most of the bills in our house. And then we set them up and they're paid magically by the banks. Okay, so I don't think that a postage stamp 4 times a year and having someone put it in the envelope is necessarily the way we're really working in most of our lives every day already. So that could maybe not be a huge issue. The other thing is I want to be hypothetical. So let's pretend I still live here and I still live in Strongsville where we lived. Okay, and I had the option of all these cable providers, and this came along here, and I didn't have Spectrum in Strongsville. I would be sitting there thinking, wow, could I just take this box and go home and cut off that cable or cut off that internet or the cable provider there? Video. That saves a lot of money. So I think you really all have to sit and look at both home locations. And if it's possible, if this is something that you leverage, it's not just saving money, but here, but there. The other thing is, when Jim talks to me about gigabytes and all that stuff, my brain goes la 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 la, because I don't care about this stuff. I've always been lucky in my professions to have people with technical expertise behind me, getting me all the TV and radio and computers that I needed, and I didn't want to know how it worked. But a gigabyte of service, some of the things you hear about, my Spectrum doesn't work here, is because you're subscribing to the lowest level of internet speed. A gigabyte is like mind-blowing. So you're not going to stay where you are, you're getting something more. So I'm just saying there's a lot of things here and there's a lot of strong feelings, but there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm not worried about a postage stamp getting in my way. I don't think, if you got to put it in the postage stamp, put it a little slip in with my assessment bill, but we will be going to the free way of email assessment so that you don't have to pay that whatever, $4 a year on that. So just think of all the things. Thank you.
Can I say one final thing? Becky Donathan, 303 West 5th. So if I'm understanding it right, though, if I want to take that box back and forth, like in Arizona, I have to have internet while I'm here because of things back there I have to run. So if I'd have to leave that box there. So I couldn't, because I wouldn't have to come back here.
No, take the box with you everywhere you go. If you travel to Europe, take the box with you.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, if I don't have the box in Arizona when I'm
The
here.
box does not supply internet. The box is only for your video.
Is only for what?
For the video. It only supplies the what you watch on TV, not what you do on the internet. Internet comes through your router.
Okay.
You have a router in Arizona, you would have a router here, yeah.
Okay, so I'd still have internet.
Completely portable, yeah.
I'd still have an internet, no, okay.
I want to thank Beth for the hard work she's done on this as well. And having the sense to drag me into this too, because
Yes,
she knows
yes.
I'm the cable guy.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
And Meg for what she's doing for this. This is about the community. Thank you for participating.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Charles. Again, this is not an LPOA proposal. I want to remind you, this is something we are telling you that is an opportunity for the administration. And Charles would like to wrap it up. Thanks.
I really don't want to belabor the point, but I just want to be clear on a couple things. The administration is not forcing this on anybody. This came as an idea from community members who have benefited from this in other areas. I did not want to take this to the board and make it a board decision without hearing the community's input on this initially. There's a lot of great ideas that came around this. This was just a process to hear you, and so that you understand that we've heard you in the past about certain things that affect the larger community, and then it becoming administration and board dialogue without having your dialogue first. So this is only to hear your dialogue and to move it further. I don't have a dog in the hunt about this. One way or the other, it really doesn't matter or affect Lakeside one way or the other. It came as an idea, and I wanted to socialize the idea before moving further. And that came from hearing you all over the last 5 years saying we never get a voice or we never get to know things until decisions are being made. So this is really about that. Some of the ideas that I did here today is, you know, if this is a consideration, don't just look at one company, maybe see if other companies offer that. And there's other things that we can look into that. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to Beth and then others who have brought this idea forth, because I think it was a great process. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. We now have a presentation from Mike Eggers. Michael is the elected rep from LPOA to the association board. Brett Johnson is also an elected rep to the association board. Michael, you sit on the Municipal Services Committee on the e-bike subcommittee, is that correct?
That would be correct.
And he's going to talk to you about the process happening with the e-bike rule that's in draft form right now.
Is it still morning? Good morning. I have 5 minutes? I don't have 5 minutes of material. So I'm Michael Eggers, and I do sit on the MSC, which is different than the MSD. So we have a Municipal Services Committee, which is on the board, and then we have a Municipal Services Department, which is Charles and his gig. So just want to make sure we all understand there's a difference. Don't call me if your sewers are backed up. Don't call me if the sewers are backed up. Okay, so this is going to be relatively simple. The e-bike policy, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to read it, then I'm going to break it down, and then I'm going to take comments.
Da, 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 da. Okay, everybody got it? Looking for head nods, heads up. Okay, basically what this says, and this is a proposal, that's why we're here, to listen to your comments. But it basically says no e-bikes, no e-scooters, no e-anything inside the gates when the gates are down. Okay, Marianne, you were right. I said it was going to be 65-35. You know, people going yay versus boo. Marianne said 75-25, so you won. Okay, that's it. That's the gig. No e-bikes starting next year. Obviously, there will be exceptions for handicapped issues that we might have, little scooters and electric wheelchairs and stuff like that. That'll be done on a case-by-case basis. But the only way we have to enforce e-bikes is to have none. I mean, listen, I know more about e-bikes than Beth knows about cable, okay? Which is a lot, and a lot more than I ever wanted to know about e-bikes. But we did our research, and there's class 1s, class 2s, class 3s. There's so many different classifications of stuff out there that to try to figure out how to manage all that is just crazy. So the best way and the safest way, so I just put something on Talk of Lakeside, which is an article from PBS, I think. Was that where it came from, Ron? That talked about kids' safety and electric scooters. And you know, I saw a kid just the other day miss a car by this much on a scooter. And the car never saw this kid, guaranteed. Right through a stop sign. You know, if it had been 2 seconds difference, that kid probably would be dead. So it's a more of a safety issue. Lakeside's getting crowded, and we don't have big streets. We have little tiny streets. And with cars parked on sidewalks and cars parked in things and big trucks driving around and little kids on little e-scooters going 25 miles an hour, my opinion is the best thing we can do is this. Okay, comments?
I just had two things. Oh, Mark Jackson, 236 East 3rd. Had two things. We have a very good friend that has had multiple knee operations, can't ride a bike anymore, but he can get on one of these and ride. And he's a little older than me, so he understands traffic laws, but I just don't know if there will be any accommodation for anybody like that.
Case-by-case basis.
Okay, so that would cover it. And the last thing is, this says, if you have one of these, but you're not using motorized propulsion, can you still ride that if you pedal that electric bike, get out the gate, and then ride it?
You can push it to the gate and then get on it and ride it. But you can't, it's just too complicated to try to manage that process of which kind of e-bike are you pedaling right this second. And to try to manage that, and I mean, we talked about self-management, so community members would kind of try to manage. That's crazy, because I'm not grabbing somebody else's kid and snatching them off of a e-scooter. That's not my gig. So, all right. Oh, Steve Bruneau, chairperson.
Wait a minute, someone else has a question over there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, where? Sorry.
Right here. Celeste Williams, Lakefront and Jasmine. I am not familiar with e-bikes. Class 3, I'm assuming there's a Class 2 and a Class 1. Could you please distinguish that?
Right here now, I can't. Steve might.
Thank you.
I wanted to clarify something. That's why I was asking to be recognized. I'm Steve Bruno. I am actually chair of the Municipal Service Committee for the Lakeside Association Board. What Mike is saying to you about the current proposal being that there would be no e-bike permitted for operation in Lakeside grounds while the gates are in operation. What he's saying is correct, but what's up here is the draft that was prior to our last meeting, I believe, okay. Mike, because the whole sentence about in addition, that whole sentence is currently proposed to be deleted at our last meeting because we felt we couldn't make a proper distinction between Class 1 and Class 2 and Class 3 and all the different. We just don't have the expertise as we're seeing somebody zipping along on something to say, oh, wait a second, that looks like a Class 2 e-bike, we need, you know, et cetera. So what Mike is saying was correct, but what you're seeing up here has been slightly modified to take out any reference to the Class 3, and it also says pedal assist is not going to be full motorized, and I think it says pedal assist or says some, I can't remember what the words were that we added in there to take into account that no e-bikes would be permitted. So this is now an all-inclusive prohibition. So just wanted to clarify that for you, Mike.
Thank you.
Stand up, say your name.
I'm Pat Castaneris at 460 Plum, right around the new Cherry Street Park addition. I'm just going to take a second to say thank you to your committee, Mike, for coming up, working so hard on doing these words and going ahead with trying to get it going. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thank you. Wherever the microphone ends up, there we go.
Nancy Jacob, 443 Walnut. I ride an e-bike. I ride an e-trike. I have a basket. It allows me to avoid buying a golf cart. Golf carts have just exploded around here. 6-seater golf carts with a thing behind. I think if we have some limiting, and every e-bike must be labeled Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. Correct. We don't enforce our 15-mile-hour speed limit here. We don't enforce, I don't know how many golf carts aren't registered here, but an awful lot don't have tags on them or the passes, which means they haven't been inspected. I think there's plenty else that we could use to make Lakeside safer. Charge a fee, charge something. But I've always said that my e-bike keeps me from buying a golf cart. We still walk, but I can use it to go to the to the pool so I can exercise. I use it to go to the market so I can bring things back. Maybe I'd have to get out of my car to go to some of those places. Maybe we'd have to buy another golf cart. There are golf carts every place here, and many of them, people are texting on them. Many Lakeside employees are as well. So I don't think this seems as well thought out as it seems to be. Also, under the ADA, if somebody needs it for mobility, we can't tell them no. So.
Thank you. Susie Raphael, 509 Park Row. I agree with you. My husband rides an e-bike, but he has a Class 1, and he does not go fast, and it's pedal assist. That's completely different than a Class 3. Yeah. There has to be some sort of distinction. It's his only way of getting around with his messed up knees. Secondly, who will enforce this? Because security can't seem to enforce golf carts who park all over the place. How are they going to ever be able to enforce this situation?
That's a work in progress. I don't know. At this moment,
golf carts?
I can't tell you that because I don't have an answer to that. I have an opinion, but not giving them my opinion.
Okay. Harry Howell, 522 Maple. If people who want to assist on an e-bike, let them pay $273 for each one of them. That's what I pay for my golf cart, okay? So, and have it at a Class 1, so it's not flying all around where little kids are really in danger. I see it every day that I'm here. They don't stop at the stop signs. They zip around and around cars. And they are going to get hurt one day, and then somebody's going to be real unhappy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Kissabeth, 526 Sycamore. I just need a clarification. That says full motorized. Does that include pedal assist? The electricity only works when you're pedaling. Does that include that? When you say all e-bikes are not included?
At this point, I think the pedal assist is considered a class 1, maybe?
That's what I would think it is.
Yeah, so at this moment in time, yes, that would be prohibited.
Gotcha.
Richard Hudson, 324 Poplar. This is not an objection at all. This is just an observation. We are moving into a time when we're going to be moving away from gas-powered vehicles and doubling, tripling the capacity of electricity in the country. We're going to see proposals like this and like the previous one where that are going to change the way we think about the way we live. And we have to get used to that. Okay, and you might fast forward and think about what you're going to do when we get routine delivery of packages from the Postal Service, even as far away as Cleveland or wherever else, by drones. Mm-hmm. They're going to come into the community, drop things off, and this is a new way of living. So we have to think about that.
I agree. Question in the back. Just to clarify, I don't hate e-bikes, okay? It's not personal for me.
Christopher Dean, 320 Walnut. We have 2 people in our household who have mobility issues. They need e-bikes, and we just spent $2,000 on an e-trike for one person. So beyond saying case by case, what is the policy going to be for people that need this for ADA compliance?
Well, we're not at that point yet. So that's a good, we will talk about that in our next meeting. Because the answer is we don't know yet, okay?
Ginger Leonard, 215 West 5th Street. As a tram driver and married to shuttle drivers and listen to them all the time, e-bikes are not our problem. It's scooters and the little motorcycles that are this big and kids on 2 and 3 on scooters. So I would like to see adjustments to the policy to help those who need e-bikes for, like Nancy and others. But the scooters, I am completely for and banning those kinds of things that the kids are on, zipping in and out in front of the shuttles, in front of the trams. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no other comment? Wait, one more.
Yeah, Don Ramsey, 312 East 4th Street. Not familiar with the issue, but it sounds like a lot of the complaints are with the age of the children. I don't know whether you have to even be 16 to have a driver's license to drive one, but anyway, you might want to look at the age situation for adults that may be a little more courteous.
Okay, great. Thanks for your comments. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. And Michael, sorry. This is yet another way that we support the LPOA by bringing forward a forum for discussion on issues that are in the pipeline for the administration and the board. Many of these things just really rely on the feedback of LPOA property owners and also the property owners at large. When it comes to the spectrum thing, if you have comments about the spectrum proposal, please do not send them to LPOA. Please send them to Meg. Meg, what is your email address again? Meg, JOHNSON at lakesideohio.com. We will not be responding to your comments about Spectrum. All those comments, if we do receive them, they're going to be forwarded to administration. This was a really great discussion today. I appreciate your raised hands and your care and concern for the place that we all just love. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. New or old business? Sure. Yes, could someone bring forward the mic?
Thank you. Tom Richards, 617 Cedar. Just quickly, I want to share with attendees today and also with LPOA and Lakeside. Last fall, early December, we had an issue with Columbia Gas, had done some maintenance outside our property, shut off the gas supply, and the notification we received was a door card on our door. We were gone. I had come back a month later, beginning of December, when the temperature was getting down to the teens, and I found the door card. I did speak to Columbia Gas about that. Their policy is that Public Utility Commission of Ohio legal requirement is they are only required to do a door card. They do not have to phone anybody. I did talk to the people who were doing the disconnect for the repair and reconnection or service. They had indicated, yes, they did kind of warn upper management they should contact the owner because the community is full of people that aren't there in the winter. I did talk to customer service at Columbia Gas, and they said, well, we're not set up to do that. It's not a requirement by the Public Utility Commission of Ohio. So what I did was I made sure, for one thing, they did have my correct phone number at Columbia Gas, and lodged a complaint that I felt that they needed to use a phone notification. I also online did a notification or a complaint with PUCO, which you can do online, to also indicate I live in a community of people who may not be here. They may not get a phone notification. They may only get a door card. So I've made 2 steps to try and make my voice heard. I suggest other people, if you have a situation that could be similar to ours, you may want to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you for the public service announcement. Any other new or old business?
Good morning. I'm Bob Burrs, 601 Stoutenburg. Most of you will have gotten an email which you probably will have ignored from the gas company. I got mine yesterday, and it directly addresses this issue. Pay attention to it. It does give you the opportunity to enter a phone number and or an email address for notifications. So it just came within the last few days.
Thank you very much. Yep. I don't take care of the mail at my house. I don't even know if we get mail. My husband, he loves opening the mailbox. I don't know what it is, but let him do it. So.
Rob Hickson, 208 East 4th Street. A question about the rubbish and trash. I don't know, I guess people can't recognize what's recyclables and what's trash. I go up there and I see cardboard in the trash containers. People they throw it down. I really think we need some help up there with education, maybe pictures of what you're supposed to put in recyclables, maybe another recyclable container. I thought we had an educated group here, but apparently people can't read.
Are you talking about the rubbish at the south end, and not the rubbish that's at people's cottages?
Correct. The main dump site.
Okay. Anybody else? I now will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion. Wait. Do I hear a second? Hey, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy all the things happening.